From chalkboards to competencies, Kenya's bold shift from 844 to CBE.
Tukasema imefika time ya kurebrand mambo ya CBC ikuwe CBE.
We are moving away from an academic curriculum which we have been having in our country for a long time.
Because we also have to consider putting a child in primary school for 9 years is almost criminal.
Talking about politics and reforming the curriculum. The two cannot go together.
In the year 1967, the first post-independence system of education was introduced in Kenya. This involved 7 years of primary, 4 years of secondary school, 2 years of high school and 3 years of university. This 7423 system faded out in 1985 when 844 system was introduced. The transition was overseen by Peter Castro Loaringi, who was the Minister of Education then under the late President Daniel Arap Moi on January 1985. The main goal of the 844 education system was to provide a practical, technical and vocational-oriented curriculum.
844 system. This is one system that has served this country well. It was well intended, but it may not have been fully implemented because of basically the pitfall of resource constraints.
The system involved 8 years of primary school, 4 years of secondary school and a minimum of 4 years of university education. The KCPE took a lifespan of 39 years, with the last KCSE expected to be done in the year 2027. This will mark the final phase out of the 844 system. Came the year 2016, a needs assessment report highlighted gaps in the 844 system, prompting the move to competency-based curriculum.
The good thing with this is that it will reduce the kind of emphasis that we have on summative evaluation now. That means we'll be reducing the idea of competition among the candidates and enhancing the attempt to achieve specific standards.
This led to curriculum divide in the country as the government and the Ministry of Education were pushing for CBC as the National Union of Teachers NAT Kenya, umbrella led by Wilson Sosion, were against the plan.
What we are dealing with now is reform. It is a major undertaking. It is a shift. And what we've questioned is the process. The correct steps of reforming the curriculum have not been followed. That too much shortcuts.
The Cabinet Secretary for Education then, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, insisted that the process was not politically motivated and assured Kenyans that the transition will go on.
We want a competence-based curriculum. We are moving away from an academic curriculum, which we have been having in our country for a long time. We are talking about politics and reforming the curriculum. The two cannot go together. Because we are designing an education for our children, and that education should outlive political interests, political things or whatever they are, and I'm not aware of any of those things. We are not rushing anything.
The system requires learners to spend 2 years in preschool, 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior school, 3 years in senior school and a minimum of 3 years in university. In the year 2017, the Basic Education Curriculum Framework BCEF was officially unveiled, with piloting program launched in 2018 in 470 primary schools, that is 10 in each county, to identify challenges and refine the system. The formal nationwide rollout of CBC implementation started in January 2019 for grade 1 with the late Professor George Magoha as the Minister of Education, after preceding Amina Mohamed and Fred Matiang'i respectively. As though the process faced a lot of challenges such as insufficient infrastructure and lack of sufficient human resource, the late Magoha assured Kenyans that the issues will be solved.
And if you are going to say you mustn't do this, give us the alternative. Because Kenya must move forward anyway, whether anybody likes it or not. I don't engage in side shows and nobody's going to take me there. I have a mandate to deliver and I shall deliver it. If I am stupid, I'm going to ask myself, why is this? But instead, I'm focusing on the goal.
On 13th May 2019, Professor Magoha appointed a 23-member task force to spearhead the transition of new curriculum learners through the different levels of education. The team was headed by Professor Fatuma Chege and had 1 year to come up with the strategies on how the curriculum will be implemented at the junior and senior secondary levels, as well as how the last class of KCPE will settle in high school in the final phase-out season of 844 system. In 2020-2021, implementation was extended to grades 4 and 5. A launch of training of 60,000 secondary teachers ahead of intake in junior school took place as 100% transition was applied from primary to junior school. In 2022, a recommendation by the Presidential Working Party on Education was adopted, paving way for the release of 18.8 billion to construct classrooms for junior secondary school learners who are hosted in primary school, a move that received great opposition.
Other commitments in public institutions especially, there's just more than what we can consider, like, dormitories, infrastructure in general. And infrastructure in secondary school does not confine the secondary schools to classrooms alone.
Because we also have to consider putting a child in primary school for 9 years is almost criminal.
Implementation commenced, marking the end of the primary school as the first grade 6 national assessment was held. In 2023, junior secondary school, that is grade 7, 8 and 9, was officially launched under leadership of Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu under President William Ruto.
I wish to assure the country that we are fully prepared and committed to a seamless transition from the 844 system to the CPC.
The first cohort of CBC learners entered grade 8 in 2024 as the government recruited more teachers and carried out training to ensure process continues smoothly. Came 2025 May, the name CBC was transitioned to CBE. PS Julius Bitog explained that this was aimed at fostering mastery, real-world application, and personal growth rather than just passing tests.
Sasa tuongelee curriculum. Tunaongelea curriculum, tunaongelea assessment, tunaongelea labs, tunaongelea classrooms, tunaongelea walimu, tunaongelea kila kitu. Na kila kitu ndio inaitwa sasa competence-based education system. Na hii CBE is the best system in the world.
The same year, the pioneers sat for their first critical national examination, that is Junior School Assessment JSA, at the end of grade 9 to determine placement in senior secondary school. In senior school, the learners are expected to specialize into one of the 3 pathways: the STEM, social sciences, arts and sports science. The STEM include integrated science, agriculture, mathematics, and technical studies. Social sciences include English, social studies, religious education, and Kiswahili. Arts and sports science has creative arts. In this year 2026 January, over 1 million students in the first cohort were placed in the grade 10, where they specialize in their areas of interest.
844 only favors me and you, who have got a cognitive ability. But for those who do not have the cognitive ability, they are discriminated by the system, something which is illegal. It is against the constitution of this country. In
our next episode, we talk about the struggles in CBE. From the desk of Mirror of Nation, my name is Bernard Olu.